to this workshop that part of it is my assignment, I would say, for my final year project before I graduate. So, yes, thank you for coming. Yeah, so a little bit about this project I'm hosting, right? So, uh, I hope you guys. I know if the both of you play music. Sure, I think before I started attending this as a subject for myself, I wasn't really sure what to do as well. But yeah, I'm gonna show you guys whatever you understand, and hopefully it will find it interesting for you guys. And after this talk, you guys will have like a general knowledge on, okay, at least like I know what's this, at least I know this is how it works. How can you guys um, improve on sound? And to be honest, for for pianists it's very easy and it's great if you guys like record stuff. Out of like so many musicians, right? Pianist is the easiest to record everything. So you guys are in luck. Okay. Um. So without further ado, I can start talking about this workshop. So basically, what we're gonna cover these three things. So I gotta talk about recording. So under recording, I'm gonna talk about how does it um, affect a recording in a studio, what type of mic they use, what kind of software they use, and of course, audio interface, right? And I would touch a bit on mixing. It won't be the main subject, but I will roughly give you guys an idea what do you do to improve your sound. And also the last thing is I will talk about a few home studio setup. You guys can hopefully do it yourself. If you find it that okay, I really want to record this. It's MCO. Let me just pick up something, and I will briefly explain how you can get affordable, affordable gears for you guys, affordable um, recording stuff and things that you guys can use to record at home. Okay, so recording used to be a very hard thing in the past because they don't used to have very powerful computers. So what they usually do is they have to go to a proper studio and to record, right? So back in the days, around 60 on the in the 60s and the 70s, they have to record something like with a lot of um vintage, like gears, like as you can see here. They don't use computers, they use tapes. So this is this is what it calls an analog recording. So basically there's nothing with computers, nothing with a portable mic. Everything is like in the studio, and it's just a very very difficult thing to do. So, and of course now it's better for sure. Nowadays technology is so advanced, right? You can use your phone to even record like a lot of stuff. So that's where digital recording came, and this is your standard view of the modern studio nowadays lah, right? Of course, this show would have like some vintages gear they used to use, like from the analog recording days, like from here. If wherever the recording guy wants to use some very very vintage stuff, then I guess that's just how he works, alright. But nowadays it's just a digital recording with laptops and powerful computers and advanced um, gears, right, in the studio. But of course, when recording became such a popular thing, and they started to want recording to be accessible for a lot of people, and that's where home studio recording came about. So basically, all you need is like your laptop. It doesn't even have to be like a good laptop, but all you need is a laptop to start recording, right? And nowadays you can get very very affordable gear, as I said, right, to just really capture good sounding recording. It's like one of the best example of someone that did this in the industry. Billie Eilish. Yeah, she basically record when she started like coming up, right, to be a famous singer. The few album that she recorded is from a home studio. It's like basically like as you can see like on the screen, it's something like a setup you can just use to record, everything at home. So you can already imagine, right, like how much you can do a lot of things with a home studio recording. And basically it's just very very accessible. You know, you try to save out a few um, amount, and then you can really start getting good recording. You know, and this is my setup that you can see on the screen right now. It's where I'm sitting here, like right now. Like over the years, I was kind of blessed to have a lot of this kind of stuff to do what I am doing right now in my course, right? So even though like during this pandemic, I can do a lot of like my assignments at home, compared to other people who don't really have the equipment to do it. And yeah, this is like, one of the advantage that I get, to get to do like all my stuff at home. But yes, of course, I want to go out as well, but we can't do that. But this is like another advantages, like, to have a home studio recording. And yes, so this is basically the starting point of recording. And of course, I'm gonna talk about a few microphones that you can use. You know, I'll mainly talk about two. Um, there are a few types of microphone that are famously used, in the industry, and of course home studio recording as well, right? So the first type, it's called dynamic microphone. So as you can see, it's very very small, and is mainly used for live situation, like, singers, or to record a guitar, from an amp, or even like podcasts. Like if you can hear what I'm saying through this mic that I'm using right now. So the way it sounds a little bit crisp, right? It's very like, you know, in is there is like the sound of the mic is like, it's not that powerful, but you can hear me talking, very clearly, right? So it's very pleasing to the ear to listen to, right? And again, these are like the very famous mics that they use in the industry. So yeah, this is basically what you would use to capture very loud instruments, right? Like uh, it's just perfect for it. Okay, so the other type, it's called a condenser microphone. So this is more on a very very high frequency capture microphone. So for example, if I want to, yeah, it's mostly famous for using it as a vocal mic. So what that means? Why? Because it's very sensitive. The the capturing of this mic is very sensitive. That means if I were to even like speak from a far distance, like you can't really hear me right now, right? Like from a far distance. But if I were to use this mic and I will be talking like from a far distance, you would still hear me. So again, this would be like a very very sensitive mic to capture basically a lot of things, right? So for example, you can even use this to capture like an interview where you can just put it like in the middle and then capture everyone. But if I were to use a dynamic microphone like something like this to capture like everyone in a far distance, if you wouldn't really hear it properly because it's not that sensitive like this condenser microphone. So this condenser microphone is also quite popular for home studio recording setup. I have one here as well, right? So it's just very, it's a very very affordable microphone, and it gives you a very very good um result lah when you record like vocals and acoustic guitar, and as well as acoustic piano as well, because it's very very um, refreshing to hear when you really record it, right? Okay, so moving on, I'm gonna talk more a bit about um, the software that you have to use in order to capture audio. So what it will call is called Digital Audio Workstation. Short form is called DAW or DAW. So basically, this is like a software for like music, right? So like for example, like like people that do editing photos, right? Like Photoshop or whatever Adobe software, right? So it's basically something like this, but it's for audio. So usually, what you would use this for is, as you can see, composing, producing, recording, mixing, and editing video, and audio as well, and also MIDI. Um, so it's just your basic average software lah for recording, and of course these are the 5 popular software to use. So mostly all of this, again, there are advantages and disadvantages about all of these, but in the end, it all depends on how someone will use it, or how, um, different features that they like and don't like about each software. And if they were to choose one of software to be their main, you know, it would just be their preferences on why they want to use those kind of software. Um, I usually use two, uh, because again, there are certain disadvantages and advantages that I found, and that's why it's easier for me to work with my stuff as well. You know, so but of course, I will show you guys how to use these later on, and I will give you a rough idea on how it works. Okay. All right. So moving on, I'm gonna talk about MIDI recording. So this will be quite important now for nowadays in the music world. And basically, a MIDI recording is just, um, you have your MIDI keyboard here. You see, basically a MIDI keyboard is like a normal keyboard, but it doesn't have a sound, right? If you were to play, like, plug and play it, like, the MIDI keyboard doesn't have sound. So how does it have sound is through your software, and basically you have to choose different, as you can see, recording using virtual instrument. You have to use those virtual instruments as your sound. So your MIDI keyboard can basically sound like a guitar, drums, synthesizer. It can be a violin. It can be whatever you put in it. It can be, you know, if you were to have like a cheap sounding keyboard, but you have like a MIDI keyboard and like a good software, and you have a very good virtual instrument, as you can see, VST, if you were to have that, you can have like very good piano sound, right? So it's very, very, I wouldn't say cheating, but cheating in a good way. So like, if I don't have like, or I don't have a bass guitar, for example, right? But I want like a bass guitar for my recording project, right? I can actually have like a bass guitar in my MIDI keyboard. So later on, I will show you guys how it works. All right. So, um, also check if, I'm not sure whether if you guys have a digital keyboard at home. Do you guys usually use digital keyboard, or you guys have a acoustic keyboard or a piano?
Mine's an acoustic, but I'm looking to like invest, like
Mm,
hopefully soon in like yeah.
okay, okay. Uh, I would talk about. I can suggest some to check it out later on. If you,
Yeah, that'd be
yeah.
great.
Um, Arfan, I know you use a
Digital pianos.
digital piano, right? But
Yes.
even though, let's say you have a digital piano, right, you can actually turn your digital piano into your MIDI keyboard. So if you go and check, I'm not sure, you would, do you have this port or this
Yes, yes.
port? You have
The MIDI port.
the MIDI port. Do you have a USB port?
I don't have the USB.
Okay, so okay, this is like another good example. So even though you don't have a USB port and you have this MIDI port, right, you can actually turn your now digital keyboard to a MIDI keyboard, and you can plug it in your computer and you can start recording.
Nice.
Yeah, so basically, if you were to have this port, you can actually buy like this cable, if you can see here. It's a USB. Basically, you can just type like MIDI cable to USB, you can actually find a lot in like Shopee or Lazada, and I'm actually planning to buy one as well. I have a I have two keyboards at home. I have a very old one as well, and it doesn't have the USB, but it has this. So I'm also planning to buy. I think it's like around like what 20 ringgit for like the cable. So like it's very very cheap, and you can basically start you doing that, and you can actually like record good audio, your keyboard, you know. S-
Yes.
yeah, so I can talk to you about it more after, and I can suggest a few as well if you want to. And generally, again, most of the MIDI keyboard nowadays, you would have a USB port, but I have seen other old digital keyboards having USB port as well. So really, it's very useful to have this. If you have like a, I don't know, like a very old digital keyboard laying around your house or something like that, you can go and check it out and see whether it has this two port. So yeah, again, generally you will just plug it in, something like this, you know, a USB or a MIDI, and you can basically record your sounds, and you can just basically plug it in to your computer. Okay, right. Moving on, I'm gonna talk about audio interfaces. So, what are audio interfaces? Basically, they are just uh, a converter. You know, you can just so basically you would need this to like plug in a mic to this box here, and you can actually start recording. I have one here as well. Um, this is like the most affordable one in the market. It goes around for like I think the last time I bought it a few years back, not a few years back, I think it was last year. It was like 150 buck. So obviously I'm having a budget range, right? And 150 is like the best I could get it. And of course I needed something to plug like my microphone into it, right? And then start recording. And of course audio interfaces doesn't just record microphones. You can also record guitar, bass, wherever you can find that you can plug into, you can start recording. But obviously, keyboard, you don't really need an audio interfaces. So, because again, right, you can just basically use like a converter or cable, and you can start recording it. So that's where it comes to have the advantage to get a MIDI keyboard if you're a pianist, right? So, because if you were to, let's say, like, not a pianist would buy this, right? It would cost around like 400 something, and plus if you were to like buy like a MIDI keyboard and you were to buy an audio interface, it will cost you like a lot. But the great thing about having a MIDI keyboard, you can really just plug it into your laptop and then start recording. But of course, the more expensive it gets when the more inputs you have. So what that means is the more things you can plug into to record, the more expensive it gets. But generally, uh, one channel is the cheapest you can get, because basically you can just um, record, let's say, a vocal through here, and then like a guitar from here, right? And basically that's all you need for home studio. But when it comes to like studio work or something like that, you gotta record like a full band, or you want to record drums, for example. For me, like I'm a drummer, right? Recording drums is a very difficult thing, because I need to buy like a lot of inputs that I can plug into different mics, because like a drum set is very big, right? So if I were to record everything like individually, I will have to buy mics. That will cost like around 2K or 3K. And then if I were to buy an audio interface with more than 2 channel, basically like this is 8 channel here, right here, and this is 4, 2, 2, 2. So if I were to buy more than like a 8 channel interface, right, that would cost like for like another what 3K as well. So I'm be like spending what 6K just to record drums. And of course, even though let's say if I were to invest on that, if I don't have good space or a good treated room, it would affect my recording as well. So that's why nowadays MIDI drums is very, I won't say MIDI drums, sorry, electronic drums is very good to record like drums. Record drums. So like electric drums is like a MIDI, it has a USB port as well. But yeah, you can really also just plug into your computer and just start recording drums, and that's like the easiest way nowadays. So yes, again, if you were to just if you want to sing or you want to record your voice, basically just get like a 1 channel interface. There are tons in the market, but obviously if we are talking about budget, just get whatever you can get, under your budget range, because you can have a lot of advantages having audio interfaces, and it doesn't matter if you have a cheap one because it does get the job done. Yeah. Okay. Before I show you guys a few example using the software, uh, here's a few ones, as I said, like home studio setup again. Uh, the red color one, it's the most popular one in the market right now because it's very well built, right? And you get very good features of it. But again, this is like quite expensive, I would say. And of course, if you look at here, these are like the most, this is like the most budget one you can find. Again, this is like around like 160, but recently I saw they are selling it for around 210 now, so it's a bit, yeah, it's there. But again, get whatever you can to start recording. So anyone has any questions before I start showing you guys what you can do with a MIDI keyboard?
Not really.
No, we're good. We're good. Is it possible for you to like send a PDF of all like the slides like later?
Yeah, sure. I can send it off to you if you guys want.
Yeah, just so that we can remember, cause like cannot remember everything, but yeah, it's good
Yes.
stuff. It's good stuff. Thanks.
All right. So far so good, right? Okay. Okay. So since now we have passed through here, and I'll give you all the introduction already, I can briefly talk about DAW, which is what I talked about here just now. I can give you a live view of it. So okay, let me just share my screen. All right. Alright, you guys can see, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, this is one of the software that I use. Obviously, I use something else as well, but this is Logic. And if I were to just start a project for you guys, so when you look at it, it's a bit complicated for people that doesn't have or haven't seen this before, right? So it's okay. I will try to show you guys how it works. And when you see
Is this
this,
inbuilt? Is this inbuilt in the Mac, or it's a software you buy out, like supplementing it?
for Logic, it's only for Mac,
Mac, right? Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
nowadays there's a lot of like free one you can actually use.
Okay.
And yes, I will share that as well. If you guys are interested.
Oh,
And again, like Logic is just one of the many software you can use. And again, it's up to you guys to check it. Like, I mean, it's hard to say that to let you guys check it out, but you guys can like start using free software to start recording, because to be honest, if if it's free, it doesn't really I won't say that if you use a free one, it really matters a lot, or it cannot compete with like good software that you pay for. With this, it's just like audio that you record, and with like just recording audio and just like make it sound good, you can basically do that with like any software. So like that's the best part of it. But again,
right. Okay.
I like some of this, like I have to use it because of college, or some of it I found that, oh hey, this is like pretty good, let me just keep using it, and then I just kept using it, and I found it, okay, this is my type. So yeah, you can basically use different types of software. And yeah, the best part of it is there's a lot that is for free, so you can like start getting the ball rolling with just by using those. Okay, great. If you guys, for some reason my sharing is paused, but you guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for this example, I'm gonna create a software instrument. So again, basically a software instrument is instruments that are in the software itself. I'm not using like physical instruments to record, right? So I will just create this. So first, what you see here, this is the first channel. If you can see number 1 here, right? This is what we call our
Chop. It's still stuck in the main page where you said choose a project. It's still stuck there.
okay. Let me right now. It's okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Can see.
Okay.
Can.
So again, can just delete this and say okay. Yes. So I choose a software instrument. I'll create it. So this is the first channel, as you can see, number 1 here, right? So this is where I get to choose what instrument I want to use with my MIDI keyboard, right? So I know it looks a bit intimidating, but basically this is like the play, pause, record function, right? I can just play it, I can just stop it, I can just go back to it, or go further, right? And all of this is basically your bar. So like this is basically like 1 bar, and then 2 bar, 3, 4, 5 bar, right? See, it's 5 bar, 1 beat, 2 beat, 3, 4, 5, 6. So basically a normal 4/4 count. But if I were to change it, I can change it from here. But I will just stick it in 4/4 lah. Okay, for this. So again, here is basically your volume tab. It's also known as your mixing page. So I can increase the volume, I can decrease it, or normally I would just put it at 0. 0 is what 0 means is unity. This is like your base audio, you know, your middle point of audio. So it's like in the middle, right? It's the sweet spot. Okay. So again, for MIDI recording, I would choose an instrument. So for Logic or for other software you use, they will come with um, free stuff for you to choose from. So I would choose an instrument. So for now, I would just use a keyboard. Okay. So let's say I want a keyboard, right? I want a keyboard sound, and I would just select keyboard. Okay. See, this is like a virtual instrument. It's basically like in the software, and I'm not using like other stuff. This is all from the software itself. Okay, so before you guys can hear, let me just change my input and output device so you guys can hear. All right. Okay. Tell me if you guys can hear.
Yes,
Yep.
I can hear.
Okay, great. So again, if let's say I don't have like a MIDI keyboard, right? There's a thing called like a piano like this from like your laptop keyboard. So I can just like press like from my computer keyboard. This is like when you use it if you were like, I don't know, going out traveling, or you just have your laptop with you and you can just play with it with like your built-in computer keyboard. So obviously this is more for producer. People who make beats, like those like very famous beats, or composer that just sell beats online, to like people, to like artists. They will just like play simple stuff, right? They won't really play like chord per se, or really practice like with all the like piano scales and whatever. So for producers, they don't really need a MIDI keyboard. But again, it's great to have a MIDI keyboard. But this is just for like a quick access to recording it. But if let's say I were to have a MIDI keyboard, which I have right now, I'm not sure if you can see if my from my screen here, I have a MIDI keyboard here, right? So right, of course, with whatever keyboard you would have 49 keys to 61 keys, or even with like a very small keyboard with just like 21 keys. But again, the more you have, then the more octaves you have, and it's easier, right? And obviously for me, I don't really play piano, but I can generally play it with just like normal chords, right? Sometimes 49 is just right for me, because I can't really play like fancy stuff, so I don't need like to go like octave higher a bit and then like octave down a bit. So I would like just to keep it like the rhythm, right? If I were to play it live, I'll probably be like the second keyboardist, just to like fill it up for like the atmosphere with like chords. That's it. So again, um, I will always name my stuff, just to like have a good reference to say, okay, this is like a keyboard, right? So let's say I were to record something, right? Let me try and record something. But let me just change some of my settings. Okay, so the reason why it's so great to have like a virtual instrument, like something like this, I can play with a lot of settings, right? If you know, it sounds decent, right? This is also like, I know this is, as I said, right, you get to have a lot of choices to choose from your software, but this is a free one I basically downloaded like online. So a lot of like companies, they give you free stuff, you know. So from there, you know, there are more stuff you can do. You know, if you don't want a keyboard, I can like not play a keyboard and then like do something else with like a different sound. But companies are very great to create this kind of stuff and to give it for free. And when they give it for free, but it sounds good, you know. It sounds like a very, very good keyboard. If I were to make like a song and I would just like use like a free one, or people were to use a free one, right, I wouldn't even know the difference. Or maybe it's just me. So yeah. But again, I would try to come up with something and to record it, um, and give you guys a reference. So let me just record this track. So basically what I'll do, I'll just press the record button and I'll press record. Right. So let me just record something. Okay. So I will play it back to you guys to let you guys hear. Right? Can you guys hear it? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, the advantage of using a MIDI. So for example, right, the ending here, it's a C chord, right? But I actually wanted it to end it with a G chord, right? So I have two options. I can either record it again, or the second option is I can actually like move the keys. So what I mean is that if I would open this tab here, right? So these are all MIDI chord, like MIDI notes. So what that means is I can actually drag it and I can move it anywhere I want. Right. So again, just now the C, right? I wanted to move it. I wanted to play a G, but I ended up playing a C. So I technically made a mistake. So I can actually move this to G. So if I were to play G from my keyboard, it will show me my movement, right? So obviously I can't really read. I know like my general, you know, chords, but as a reference, I'm pressing on my keyboard right now. So as it shows like the notes, right? So I can actually, this from here, I can move to my G. So I move it to G. And for my bass here, it's also a G, right? But I play a C, right? I want to move it to G. So I press G again to reference it. And I can move G. So if I were to play it right, it moves to G.
Wow,
Right.
that's
So
dope.
so it's very, very, again, it's not cheating. There's a reason why you're allowed to do it. And one cool thing also, I'm playing the key of G right now. Like the whole thing is in key of G, if I'm correct. Right? I'm playing in G, right? I think I'm playing in G. Okay. Is it?
You mean your last chord?
as in the whole chord here. I mean, like as what I play.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say this is all in G, right? I can actually transpose it. So what that means is, let's say I don't want this whole thing to be G, right? I can actually transpose everything. But before I do that, I have to actually go to um, yes, I can actually transpose it, and I can go to here, transposition. Since let's say G, A, right, is one octave up, right? So I can select and operate, and then the whole thing will be in key of A. Right, correct me if I'm wrong. This is in the key of A, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
Piano. I don't know. I don't know where I need my piano, but like I'm not pitch perfect, so maybe Afan can help.
This is not-
But you get the idea lah, right? Like if I were to
Yes, yes,
play in the key
yes.
of G, and I'm
Yes.
like lazy to like oh actually like maybe like the recording is like, oh actually we want it in the key of A lah, or in the key of B or whatever it is, right? And
Yes,
you were
yes.
like, I don't want to record it, like let me just like transpose it, you
Mm.
know. Um, of course, oops, like transpose it lah. So whether it's one octave up, one octave two, to it, or few octaves down, and you can just do that with a MIDI. So like again, this is like one of the best things you can do for MIDI. Like the first thing is like if I were to play like something wrong here, I can move it or whatever I can, right? So again, it's great, right? Okay, and also again, MIDI doesn't have to be just keyboards. I can also choose something like a bass, for example. Let's say I want a bass, right? Um, I want a bass. Again, like I don't have a bass instrument like right here, right now, and I can use something like this, a virtual instrument, and for this case, it's a virtual bass. Again, see, it sounded like a real bass lah,
Yeah, sounds quite legit.
right? So if I were to record it with here, again, press record. Again, it's not in time, but I can. Let's say it's not in time, right? I can also like just move it to like match it to time, like to play in time. So this is like a bit off, right? So I can just move it. Right. Also, for MIDI, what you can do. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the piano here. Right. Let's say this chord, right? This C. Sorry. Right, this C right here. No, sorry, this is G. Yes. This G right here. Maybe one of the keys I didn't really press that hard. Right, like as you can see, like let's say I want dynamics on here. Right now you can see it's also called velocity. I can actually increase the volume of this if I want to. So now if you can see, this is like on 69. This is like 76. This is like 69. So again, it's meant to be not perfect, right? Like if everyone were to play like perfectly, like your note by note, the same sound, I mean, wow, that would be amazing, right? Like your
Yeah.
dynamics range are just like wow, impressive. But again, let's just assume that we're not gonna make it sound robotic. We still want it to sound like human, right? But worst case scenario, let's say my finger hurts like afterwards, like on like a few chords that I press, right, or I play, and it didn't really sound bright or sound loud. So like let's just assume or G here, right? Let's just assume this chord it's played a bit soft, right? Let's just assume it that it's very soft. Let's say it's like around 24. And I also say that this one, okay, everything lah, maybe 30. This one is like around 20, right? If you were to hear it, right, it would be very soft. Okay, maybe I move this one also lah, just to balance it out. So again, imagine the first chord you play is very soft, right? Let me just mute this bass so we can hear it. Right, it's very soft, right? So again, you will be like, oh, I didn't really play it too loud, the first chord. Should record it again. And again, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can basically check everything, and I can move the volume here. So maybe a bit louder, 72. And my bass here, my keyboard bass here, around 68. Okay, so if I were to play it again, right, it sounds like you're re-recording it, right? But actually you're not, right? So again, the advantages of having BDs are endless, basically. So if I were to really want my piano sound like very great, right? I was like, well, let me just edit like the dynamics of it. Like you can just edit your dynamics out of it. And also, let's say I missed this chord, right? Let me just pretend that I missed it. Okay. if I were to have a shortcut on my keyboard, my computer keyboard, for Windows is alternate keys and the Windows keys, right? It will give me this pencil looking thing, right? And basically I can use my mouse and I can just write it. See? I can write here also. I can write here also. So basically you can technically write your notes. So like here, just now I added this note, right? It wasn't really clear. Let me just delete this. Let me just write again. So maybe roughly around here, right? And I were to move it to match it with the keys, right? Again, if this is too soft, if it's not sustaining, right? Okay, let's just say that. Oh no, it's this one just now. Yeah, let's say I want it to extend more of my sustain more of my sound, right? Maybe I give here lah, maybe the extension of here, right? I want it to ring out more. Let's say the ending. I can basically do this. I can drag this longer to ring out more. Right. So if I want to, let's do it. It's extending the ring. Right. So again, you can do a lot of things with MIDI. And again, doesn't need to be just bass. It can be, let's say, let me add like a string. I'll usually go with here, studio strings. So okay, maybe let me just off a bit. Okay, maybe let me not use this. Let me just use another media. Let me create another one. So let me use another strings instead. Let me do this. Right, so let me, if I want a string, I can just record it. So right, so again, like let's say I play the wrong key again, right? It's supposed to start with a G, but I play a C instead, right? So let me just change this. So it's supposed to be here, so I will just drag it. Right. Again, if let's say for example, I don't want it to sound so low, right? I can actually change the octaves. I mean, I can actually transpose it to higher octave. So I will go here, transpose. I will go add another octave, so it will sound like this. Right? So again, like I'm using a lot of like BD stuff to do a lot of my recording here, as you can see. And also, if let's say just now I play a keyboard, right? It's just a keyboard sound right now. But if I were to combine it together with the strings, I can do that as well. So if you can hear, right, this is just like a normal keyboard sound. Right, it's just a normal keyboard sound, nothing. So if I were to add like an effect or something like that, or if I were to choose something from here to add on, and let's take this for example. This is my strings, right? So I can basically enable them together, so both like this, and now I have keyboard and string sound together. Right? So of course, some of the buzzing you hear, right, is because um, I'm basically opening like a very heavy like recording software right now, right, and I'm having a Zoom call, and then I'm recording the call as well. So a lot of CPU is eating up, so that's why you can hear the buzzing. But of course, if I were to record it, the buzz won't really be in the recording itself, but it would just be there if I don't record, right? So again, having a MIDI keyboard and different sets, I can build a lot of stuff for a keyboard, right? If I were to, let's say, add like a synthesizer, for example. Okay, let me create another channel. So let's put like something cool, like a synthesizer. Uh, so analog fizz lead, something. See, it's right.
Like a G6.
Is it?
It reminds me that no.
Yeah. So basically, it's like your digital keyboard lah. You know, digital piano. You know, your presets. You know, you press, and you add sound, and then like you apply it. So this is essentially the same thing, but I would say you get more control. You get um, more choices. So for example, of course, like the keyboard volume here, it depends because you know keyboard is always like, I mean, it depends on the music you play, I guess. But for me, I will always keep my keyboard louder than my extra sounds. So like for example, like my strings, right? It will always be lower than my keyboard if I were to play it. Right? If I were to just add a little more, I can. Obviously, it will make the string sound more of the start of the show, lah, right? So depends on what I want. I can do that, and this is how I do my volume. But let's say if I want something like the strings to be only one-sided, so what that means is right now our piano is basically in the middle. So what that means is when you actually hear it right from like your headphones or your speaker, it sounds everywhere, right? It's what we call a stereo track. So basically, you hear, if you have two speaker, right, you get to hear everything from like the two speaker side, right? That's a stereo track. But if let's say I don't want the strings to clash with my keyboard, right, I can actually pan my strings either to the left or to the right. So what that means is, let's say if I were to pan to left, right, for my strings, right, only, I'll take this for example. You can only hear it from the left hand side. You can't hear it from the right hand side. So right, let's say I move it to the middle. I can start hearing it from the middle. If I were to pan to the right, it will be only on the right. I slowly like put it in the middle again. So this function, it depends on how I want to use it and how you want to use it. So let's say if I were to play live with only like this two, right? Let's say I bring my laptop and my MIDI keyboard and I open up this and this. Right, maybe I want the strings to be only be heard on the left and the keyboard to be my star. I can do that. So if I play the strings, you can only hear it from the left side. Right, there's nothing coming out from the right. But if I want to make it sound on the right, I can just make it sound to the right. And you will probably have that only. Right. But what you can do also, I would duplicate this so I have the same track. Right? I can do one side to be left, one side to be right. So basically, instead of you hearing it straight from the middle, if you listen to your earphones, right, or your headphones you have, or your speaker, it will usually your sound will be only like on the middle, right, like in the middle. And but if I were to do something like this, you can actually hear the strings from your left and right, and your keyboard in the middle. So right. And if I were to just pan everything on the left, right? If I were to do that again. Yeah, so again, you can play around with a lot of stuff. But let's say if you want to just record like a track, for example, let's say um, you want to play like, you want to do like a piano cover or something like that, right? So what you can do is you can import the sounds. So for example, let's say I want to do like um, let's say I want to record a song, right? Okay. So let's say I receive this track from my friend, right? He will be like, okay, can you help me record this with like a piano track? I need a piano track. So let me get like a track. Let's say this is the track he sent me lah, huh? Let me just. So usually, what I'll do, I would create an audio track, right? So what audio track usually is, this is what you will use to record your vocals, right? So basically, you would start to plug your mic with like a cable like this. This is an XLR cable. So I would just plug it here, right? If I were to plug it like this, and basically I can start record like my mic into here. into into channel 2 with this audio, but obviously nothing is being connected right now. But why I'm doing this is I want to record a song, right? So usually I will go to import an audio file, right? I will go to whatever my track is at. So for example, let me choose like let's say this is the track that I'm supposed to record, right? Let me just open this. Right, so let's say this is the track that I want to record, right? Okay, it's loading. Okay, right, so yeah, the reason why it's a bit laggy is I'm having a Zoom call. That's why it's a bit slow right now. Okay, so let me just for example lah, let me just record this. Okay, let's say something like that, right? And I'll be like, okay, it's done. I'm happy with the results. And if I were to bounce it, I would come here and I'll bounce it, right? You will usually bounce it with like the whole project with you, right? So usually you would just choose MP3, but usually we will bounce it with wave. So imagine if you like take pictures, right? The higher resolution you go to, and the higher pixel you have, the more quality you get, right? So it's same as music, your resolution here, 16-bit, right? This is like the standard sound resolution you can go to. And your file format wave. Wave is like I would say like raw. If you know your picture size, right? Like raw is like it's like a decent acceptable file size, right? And that is like equivalent to wave files. MP3 is like JPEG picture, something like this. So like it's like yes, it's a small quality, but usually MP3 you would like send it to like WhatsApp because it's a smaller size. If I were to send it to Wave to WhatsApp, it it won't happen because it's very big. But again, the bigger the file is, for example, like here, right, Wave, and then your resolution, the more quality it gets because Wave is basically your standard quality size, like the songs that you listen to the radio, the songs that you listen to Spotify, YouTube. It's all from WAV files. The only time you send MP3 file is maybe like a demo, like something that you want to do quick and you want to just send it to your friends and like, oh hey, check this out, like just like MP3 file, and that's usually you would send it. So let's say I want this, I'm happy, I'll just press OK, right? And save it wherever from your laptop. Okay, for this I'm just gonna download it, save it from my downloads, right? So if I were to check it, let me just share the entire screen for you guys. Let's see if you guys can see my screen. It will be right here. Right, I didn't name it. I mean, yes, of course you should name it, right? Um, but obviously if I want to rename it, I can just rename it from my laptop as usual lah. But yeah, so basically that's most of it that I'm gonna cover today. So yes, if you guys have any question right now, I can answer it for you guys.
That's good, man. I mean, I think you were pretty thorough. Or at least I understand the most of it lah, huh?
Okay, that's great.
Yep, yep.
That's a good sign, I guess. Afan, you got any question?
No, yeah. I just didn't know about there's a software could produce such good sound, man.
Yeah. Um.
You try it out.
Again, let's say your MIDI, right? You have like the old MIDI like I showed you just now.
Mm.
You can even like record like the sound with like your keyboard, you know. But again, like if you like want to explore more and all stuff, this all this, right? It's not that things that you can't get, you know. You can, and a lot of stuff that I use just now, like if I were to, let me just share screen again. Like this keyboard, again lah, it's downloaded from like online. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff you can get on, and it's not like those like, you know, cheap place you you download it, that kind of place. It's not those like place you just like really go and try to crack everything. This all of this, right? If I were to get it for you, for example, like uh, Spitfire audio, right? If you can look at my screen, if you can see my screen, like this is one of the company that gives good virtual instruments. You know, you get piano, you get strings, you get whatever sounds you can find. You know, like all of here, it's all for free. And this Spitfire Audio is just one of the companies. There are like thousands of companies that like do this, and you can find like unlimited sound. And of course lah, the better it sounds, the more money you have to spend to buy. And of course, if you're just playing this as like a hobby, or like for me, I'm studying this, right? Like I don't want to spend it like what USD like a few hundreds just to get like good sounds. They're just like a lot of few companies, they give free stuff, but it's sound, they have like those like studio standard sounds, and it's great. And plus, again, I say, right, there are so many like other software you can download to start recording. And I think
Yeah, I
Cakewalk,
was just gonna ask, like anything that is like Windows friendly. I mean, like, cause I don't have a Mac, right? And
yeah,
like, so it'd be great if like we know what the options are.
Cakewalk recently is
Okay.
like
Mm-hmm.
Windows best friend for
Right.
recording. This one just came out like few years ago. And what BandLab used to be the owner of this, and you actually have to pay for it. But I think Cakewalk bought BandLab, and now like the whole DAW, again, digital audio workstation, like it's free. This is like for free.
Wow, okay.
And again, an audio interface is again something like this. And again, Logic Pro is just one of them.
Mm.
And Cakewalk is a good one. You have also Reaper. Reaper is a good one as well. Reaper DAW. I think Reaper is for free also. They have a lot of like free trials on that, but again, I try a lot those like free trials one, which is good. Of course, it's good, but you will have to upgrade it, right? You have like a time limit. But Cakewalk is just like you download it, you own it forever, and that's it. And I think the interface is much more easier as well. And obviously, I don't have Cakewalk because it's only for Windows. Because when I released it, I really wanted to try it, but I don't have a Windows laptop, so I couldn't download it. But I have suggested like a few to my friends who play piano also. They have been loving it lah, to be honest. Again, you can, let's say, download like something like this, and then go to like places to get like free sounds. Like just now I gave you the example, like the piano and the strings, right? A lot of those came from me downloading free stuff. Like I have like a full on like sound production stuff where here, like there's like a lot of stuff like I saved, and like I have like all the free like instruments I get. And piano is the hardest to find for some reason, because I'm not sure it depends on how you guys played like different types of piano in the past. Because if you try like good piano before, right, and suddenly you were to play something like a audio virtual instrument, obviously there are difference, but for like recording and something that you don't own, like let's say you just own a MIDI keyboard, right, and you can create like good sounds, like it's very satisfying. Because like, oh, I'm only spending the money on the MIDI keyboard, and I don't need to buy like an expensive, like I don't know, 8,000 keyboard just to have good sound. And probably some of the free stuff you heard, right, or you find or you download will sound even better than like those like paid keyboards you gotta buy, so there's a lot of different limits you can go to.
Nice. Okay.
Again, if you guys want, I'll talk to me. I'll send you everything I use, you can get. And of course, I'll love to send those to you lah, if you guys want to. And also, Wick, you said you wanted to find a MIDI keyboard, right?
I mean, Mike has a MIDI, so he asked me not to like buy or spend any more money on it. Because eventually what's mine's yours, what's yours mine, right? But yeah, like looking for a keyboard, my dad has asked me. He was like, "Oh, you wanna trade in your upright piano, the acoustic one, or something more digital?" And I think I was like, "Huh, where to start?" And like, no way can I afford a Nord, right? I was like, "Ayo, gila weh, that one, so expensive." But also like cheaper options, I suppose. You know of any like pretty decent ones, or like where you can get or whatever?
Music Bliss is my best friend. It's at PJ. This is like, some of my stuff is like all from here.
Oh wow, so they send it over to like online and stuff. You
Online
just
now,
buy
but yeah, this is like super close to my place. But like sometimes like I'll just drive there. I don't know lah. Sometimes like I don't like to pay like shipping fee, but it's also like very stupid of me to like drive there, right? Like spending petrol and like toll, but like I don't know.
I guess
but
you like to see for yourself also lah. Like, sometimes you just wanna like you can see, can touch, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
but obviously right now, I don't think they allow visits. Like a few times I went, right, like even last year, like everything is like covered with like plastic. You go there, have to like use like gloves, everything. Your hand sanitize everything, and you can't really like test like the stuff. But I would say that also having a software to record your laptop kind of matters as well. Even though even though it's a window, right, but let's say it's a powerful window, it'll probably support it, you know. But again, let's say if you want a MIDI, right, let's just say a MIDI keyboard. Um, I the cheapest one I found was like I think around like 500 something, but it's a good brand. Um, ah, 61 key, 680.
Okay.
Because I know for pianists, you guys would prefer 61 keys, right? Because you know you do more like
Variations. Yeah.
yeah octave stuff, whatever. But I think again, if you can, right, if you can find like a good cheap digital keyboard, maybe not like a MIDI keyboard.
Mm.
Like for example, I think I can show you. So this is the MIDI keyboard I'm having right now, right? So I have another one here. This is an old one. So again, this is like I have.
Wait, I can't see anything. Wait.
It's on my other account, if you can see from the
Oh,
Zoom.
wait. Let me just remove pin. I pinned you just now,
Oh,
lol.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see now, right?
Ah, okay.
So
Yes.
this is the MIDI keyboard I'm having. This is like 49 keys. Yeah, see, I can control stuff from here also. If you can hear,
Oh, yeah.
like it's very like, yeah. So this is a MIDI keyboard I've been using. Again, Rick, if I was thinking more like you bring it outside also, like I don't know in the future, right? You would like do that as well.
Like a portable, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking also like if you can get like something like not this lah, this is a bit heavy, but like something like compact also, like 61 key, but you can play it as a MIDI as well. You get what I mean?
Right. So it's a keyboard slash
Yeah.
MIDI. Yeah.
Again, it can be like at least it would sound kind of good lah if you were to like not connect it with a MIDI, right? But
Hmm.
I think can find one. I'll research it more for you.
Yep.
But again, if you just want like to play it at home and a digital, yeah, get a MIDI keyboard.
Yeah. Because the one that Andrew has, right, it's like the keyboard.
And
He
it's
wanted
MIDI
to
also.
sell it. Sorry?
Oh, he wanted to sell it?
He was thinking about it and he asked me if I want to buy it. And his one is very crazy heavy, very big.
Yeah.
And like he said sometimes he carry until his back pain. I'm like, dude, if you carry until back pain, I probably cannot carry, just saying. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, lah, just weighing out options lah.
But are you
But yeah,
plan?
thanks.
Yeah.
Sharing.
But are you planning to like use it outside?
Um, I mean, mainly I use it at home.
Mm.
But I guess you never know if you buy one that is suitable, portable, right? You can use it outside as well. Yeah. Mm.
Mm. I feel like if you were to go to Andrew's option, I would choose Andrew's option.
As in like to buy Andrew's keyboard.
Yeah, cause let's say
If you use it more for home lah, right?
yeah, like worst comes to worst, you were to bring it out right. I don't know, one time, like what in a year.
For someone's wedding or for
Yeah,
someone's lah. Yeah.
because that one really is great to record also. Cause I think that one is like
Mm.
both. Like if his price is good, right? Then yeah, go ahead. Andrew's one is like a good option.
Yeah. I'll ask him if he's still selling. Because
Mm.
he told me sometime last year.
Okay.
So I don't know if he changed his mind. But yeah.
Mm.
Thanks for giving me some options to look at.
No worries. Afan, anything I can answer you?
Nothing much actually.
Mm. what are you doing right now? I know. Are you like waiting for like study, or like are you planning to like go to ICOM?
Still waiting actually.
Still waiting,
You
right?
know. Yeah.
Have they update you with anything yet, or like how?
Haven't yet.
Haven't lah.
Mm.
Cause right now also like I'm doing a lot of online classes. To be honest, I've been doing online classes for a year already. So I went to like I only been to like what college in like I have my college life for a year. That's it. So it's a bit sad lah.
Yes,
So like for you, if you were to start right, also online lah, I think. But I heard from some of like the people like from my college there, like if they were to do like music one right, major in like music one, they actually went back a few times. So that
Mm.
one's still okay. But yeah, I mean you just graduated like few months ago lah, so no rush lah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, great, great. Okay, if that's nothing much left, yeah. Um, thank you very much for this
Yeah.
session. I am grateful that you guys are here and to spend time with me just to talk about all this.
Thanks for doing this. Actually, more people should know about this. I was just gonna say, like, I want to approach like Darren or something, and maybe you can run a session for some of the musicians or the keyboardists. Just for us to know the basics of what goes down, because I feel like sometimes we know how to play music, but we don't understand, or we are so disinterested in what happens when it comes to recording. And I feel like maybe, yeah, we can improve on that.
Yeah, I mean, uh, it'll be nice, but I think now, yeah, I got a few people sign up lah, not just today. I think today is like the lesser people.
Monday blues.
Yeah, Monday blues is just today, but yeah, I did a session yesterday. It was quite a few numbers of also lah, but it was great lah. I think the lesser it is better for me as well, because technically this is
Mm.
it's a group project lah for me. Even though the reason why we're splitting is because it was hard to get 40 hours if we were to stay like all group member like to come like this session, right? We won't get like 40 hours quite a while, and this
Yeah,
this
yeah.
project is like is due in another 2 weeks. So and we only got approved to start last week, so you can imagine how we're gonna get like 40 hours in 3 weeks. So we have to split the work lah, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome.
Mm.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. Again, if you guys have more questions, you can all DM me, and I would love to share whatever I can with you all.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. You guys are free to go actually.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, YK.
Yes.
Then
Thank you again. Thank you so much for coming. Yes,
Bye.
I very appreciate
bye.
it. Bye bye.